as we were wrapping up the retreat, I had the distinct pleasure of sitting with Stephanie and her partner Morgan, who are just phenomenal people. And I could not have been more grateful for that cherished time that we had together. But we were talking about, partnerships and couples and relationships, and we were just sharing different things that we do. One of the things I brought up was how when you and I first got together and we decided, yes, we are moving forward as a romantic partnership, we had already done as friends our personal boundaries and our guiding principles, just as individuals, so that we knew each other. And what that means is personal boundaries is how I'll allow the world to interact with me. So if I picture, I have a bubble around me, right? I'm sitting in my Glinda the Good Witch bubble, and I'm going to allow the world in. What am I going to allow through my little bubble, right? So how am I going to allow it? What's my boundary for entry? So very much so, like I will only allow energies that feed my soul. So nothing else is going to penetrate. And if I find it's not feeding my soul, then I have the choice to walk away, right? So I even know the action that I'll take, because it is on me. If something crosses my boundary, it's on me to take the action. So I understood. My guiding principle is how I'm going to interact with the world, right? So what's going out of my little bubble? So I will always repay every kindness shown to me in some way. So I know how it's going to flow out. So we have that two-way transaction of what's going around our little bubble, right? And if we're all bouncing around in our little bubbles, we know how they're going to interact. And you did the same. And we shared at that friendship level. But the moment we decided we were entering into a romantic partnership, we knew that we needed to come together on those and create our unified guiding principles and personal boundaries too. But we needed to hold our own and have a unified set, because how are we as a couple going to have guiding principles and personal boundaries? And we also knew that we needed to keep revisiting them, because as people, we change. As a couple, we change. So it's very important for us to always sit down and talk about that. Like, what's still important to me as a boundary? Like, I didn't even know I had some boundaries until we started living together, right? Some of those boundaries just pop up. Hello. And same for you.
You gotta allow them to come forward and know that it's not a personal attack, but it's an opportunity for growth and a way for us to mirror something within ourselves to either respond and overcome, or hey, hold a boundary. It could be any, or it could even be a mixture of that, to be honest.
Yeah, and how in the world would you know if I had a boundary, if I didn't share it with you? Instead, it would be an expectation. And then suddenly, I would be like throwing bombs at you for not knowing my expectations in an area. And it's so unfair. But we do it so often. And it sounds easier said than done, right? Oh, we'll just sit down and we'll write out our little personal boundaries and guiding principles and we'll share. But it takes a lot of heart-centered openness.
And vulnerability.
And vulnerability.
Right.
To be able to sit down with your partner and share, or your friends. Because even when we were friends and we did this, we had to be open enough with each other to say, okay, here's where I'm at. And we're spending all this time together as friends, so it's important that you know me in this way. Now, I finally got to the point where I posted my principles and boundaries, guiding principles and boundaries on Facebook, and everywhere else, just so people got the opportunity, like, you should know how I engage. But that took time, and what we do as a couple is very different than mine individually. And they do keep changing. I think together, you and I, we've really created a flow that is very beneficial for us. It doesn't necessarily mirror what I personally started with when I started doing this exercise 11 years ago.
I would agree. And I think what's also important is that it's not so I mean, there's some things that are concrete. You know, when we want to choose to be the very best versions of ourselves, and we have some guiding principle or personal boundary that is regarding that, like, hey, I desire to protect my energy so that I can show up and be the best version of myself, and therefore that assists you and the people that I love and the people that I assist every single day. You know, okay, there can be some solid concrete ones like that that are kind of evergreen, for lack of a better term, right? But what I love about what we do is that we kind of have somewhat granular approaches, and it's part of our daily or weekly or monthly flow. You know, if we know that one month we traveled a lot and we, you know, things were a little bit busy, we had things going on, it was just kind of craziness, we're like, you know, hey, sweetheart, this month, like, you know, let's stay in a little bit more, let's kind of relax, you know, on the weekends, let's just kind of, maybe let's go hike and let's just be with us, let's cuddle, let's have a TV day or something like that, or, you know, just something like low key. Just because last month, you know, hey, we were out, we had to travel, we had events, we had things that we wanted to attend with friends and family and all that kind of stuff, which is beautiful. But we effectively communicate with each other when we've reached our max on certain things. And sometimes we might fall, you know, into that habit a little bit much, like, hey, you know what, we haven't gone out on a date in a little bit, you know, it's date, you know, let's make sure we go on a couple dates this month, and or, you know, this week, like, hey, I'd really just love to have that connection, just grab dinner with you and just, you know, just connect, because, you know, it's been like all business this week, so let's just, you and I, just grab some dinner. And so I think, you know, those are kind of more, you know, not the concrete ones, and they're centered in our concreteness of us desiring to grow as a couple and pull the best out of each other, always.
Yes.
But there has to be some practicality to it. There has to be flexibility, because we shift, we change, the life throws things at you just don't expect. So you have to be willing to kind of roll with it. And so having effective communication regularly like that, not just monthly, not just weekly, but also daily, I feel like that's what keeps us in a flow. That tends to provide that positive result for us, and just really naturally keeps our connection in a space of constant choice as well, because we're choosing our journey. We're actively choosing our experience of and with each other, and that makes it fun and exciting and engaging.